January 9th, 1349 AD, the Basel Massacre. On January 9th, 1349 AD, a majority of the Jewish population in the city of Basel, Switzerland, in the Holy Roman Empire, were murdered after being rounded up by city officials who arrested them and were detained in a shoddily constructed wooden structure. The structure was then set on fire, killing all those trapped inside. The victims ranged anywhere from 70 to well over a few hundred people. Around this time, the Black Death was beginning to ravage Europe, and people were looking for any scapegoat to blame, and the Jews of Europe were usually blamed for something. During the People's Crusade of 1096 AD, over 2,000 Jews were murdered by the Crusaders in the city of Metz, who were on their way to the Holy Land because they viewed them as big of a threat as the Muslims. This was the first of many anti-Semitic events that would take place in Europe. On July 18, 1290 AD, the Jews were kicked out of England by King Edward I, who was using anti-Semitism as a political tool. So he would be seen as a protector of Christianity in his kingdom. But before they were kicked out, Jewish people had to wear patches of the tabula on their clothing. In June of 1320 AD, the Pastoraux took place when a mob of people wanting to form a crusade against the Muslims of Spain. When they were rejected by the church and the royalty of France to fund one, they turned their attention to the Jewish population in southern France, killing over 500 people before the Pastoraux were defeated by the government army. The Roman Catholic Church condemned the persecution of Jews in Europe, and Pope Clement VI issued two Papal Bulls in 1348 AD and stated that those who blame the plague on the Jews have been seduced by that liar, the devil. It cannot be true that the Jews, by such heinous crimes, are the cause or occasion of the plague, because through many parts of the world, the same plague, by the hidden judgment of God, have afflicted and afflicts the Jews themselves and many other races who have never lived alongside them. Basel's Jewish population consisted of 19 houses and a synagogue. They have been living in the city since 1213 AD and at the time had one of the largest Jewish communities in Europe. A month before, the Black Death came to Basel, and the people were already blaming them for it due to widespread rumors about Jewish people being in it with them, along with bitter feelings over a dispute a while back between some of the town's nobles and the Jewish community leaders, which caused some of them to be exiled from the city. A large mob of commoners in the days leading up to the massacre was formed by those loyal to the noble class. They marched into City Hall demanding that the exiled nobles be brought back to the city, along with all the Jews to be rounded up. The city officials ordered all the adult Jews to be rounded up and placed inside of a very large house. According to Matthias of Nuremberg, therefore, all the Jews of Basel, without a legal sentence and because of the clamor of the people, were burned on an island in the Rhine River in a new house. The children of the victims were spared, but they were forcibly baptized as Christians, and then they were sent off and placed in monasteries. After the massacre, city officials banned Jews from the city for over 200 years. But that ban was lifted on October 18, 1356 AD, when city officials needed financial help rebuilding the city after a large earthquake destroyed many buildings in Basel. They allowed Jewish bankers and lenders, along with their families, to once again live within the city.